Hey guys, it's going to be a quick tutorial for how we're going to be using GitHub throughout the semester, to collaborate and whatnot. So I think most of you guys know exactly what GitHub is. If you don't, it's like probably the easiest way for us to collaborate uh, on our projects throughout the semester, and it also gives like version control. So if like stuff messes up, we can go back and whatnot. It's pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, I'm gonna actually show you how to use it now. So this is our page. This is the link that I have pinned in the Discord. So what we're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to go to your repositories, and this repository is the one that we're going to be using for when we actually start coding our project. But for like this video, I'm just going to be I created this repository just to demonstrate. So you have this repository, and what you're going to want to do is basically we're going to want to open it in Visual Studio Code. And the way to do that is you want to press this code button right here, and then you just want to copy this link, the first link that shows up. And by the way, this tutorial does assume that you already have Git installed and whatnot. So if you don't, just make sure you get that done. It's pretty simple. But yeah, we're just in here. We're going to be in any folder you want. I just have a folder for this specific class. So in the terminal, you're simply just going to want to type git clone, and then you just want to copy and paste the link that we just copied. You don't have to make a new folder for this or anything, because once you press enter, it's going to make this folder right here. And you can ignore all of this stuff, it's not really important. But note that in this repository, we have a main file, and that's about it. So when you open this folder, you should also see the same file. And this is just what's inside of the file as of right now. Once you're cloned, the second thing you want to do, just so you don't forget, is you want to change the directory, because right now you just copied it like the code, but you also want to be sure you're in the right directory. So you just want to type cd, and then we want to type the name of the repository. So in this case, it would be 00 dummy repo. But when we're actually working, it would be like 01 address book and whatnot. So just enter that. And as you can see now, we're in the right directory. So the first thing I'm going to explain is branching. Whenever we're working on our features and whatnot, we are going to want to make our own branches for all the work that we're going to be doing, just so we work independently and we don't work all on like the same file at once. So the way that's going to work out is, say I want to work on my own feature. So you're within Git, and also I'll point this out right now, but VSC has this little button right here that has source control, and it's basically it has like a lot of buttons that are basically going to be the same way of what I'm typing here in the terminal. But if you want, you could also always just do the same exact thing I'm typing here, just using the buttons. But yeah, the first thing that you're going to want to do is do branching. So the command that we're going to be using to do that is git checkout. So git checkout is just a way to switch branches. We're going to include -b to create a new branch, and this is going to be we'll say feature A. And then whenever you're working on a feature, because for example, in an address book, we might have multiple people working on, one of the core features at the same time. So just make sure you have the name of the feature that you're working on, and then also just include your name, just so it's distinguished from other people's work. So now we're on a new branch. Now that we're on a new branch, let's say we make a simple change, like hello from branch A, right? So we have this, and let's just say that this is the feature that we're done adding or implementing and whatnot. So what you're going to want to do is, and you're going to want to do this consistently, this next part. All right. So once you have your feature added, you're going to want to save the file using Control S or whatever, and you'll see this little M appear, which means the file is modified from what's actually published, right? So again, you're going to want to do git add period to include all of the files that you're going to want to include. That would be the stage changes. That you can see that show up here. And then you would want to do the git commit message. So the first part is just git commit, and this just saves your code like locally. And then the second part would just be the -m, and this is just a quick descriptor of exactly what changes you made to your code. So this is mostly like locally, so it's not going to be reflected here. The way to do that would be to do git push. So git push is actually what uploads it onto the GitHub. It would be git push origin and then the branch that you're uploading on. So recall that the branch that we made earlier is here. This feature /a -chris. So we're going to be typing exactly that. And everything seems to be working fine. So now, right here, it shows up on the GitHub. So if we refresh, you can see that the branch has just been made. And if we go to feature /a, it'll say all of this stuff, but basically it's finally uploaded remotely. So people can, review your code and whatnot. So let's say that this feature is finally all done, right? So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to press this contribute button. So this is when your code is finally like ready to go. You tested it and whatnot, and you want it to be checked by other people so that it can be, in our working code. So we're going to want to open a pull request. So open a pull request. You don't really have to like do any of this unless you want to, but you just want to create the pull request into main. This is how we want to merge into main. So here it'll say we have no conflicts because this is the only branch we have open. I'll demonstrate what a conflict looks like in a second, but pretty much we're going to have a bunch of people reviewing and stuff. So if you look at files changed, you'll see that these are the lines that are being added into main. So when you make a pull request, you just want to let people know so that someone can review it or multiple people can review it. It doesn't really matter. Just to make sure that the code looks all clean and whatnot. So again, you just want to go back to where we just were, and we can go ahead and merge a pull request. And again, once you're merging, it basically means that you're pretty much done with your feature. And again, the features for this project, it doesn't have to be like you're doing this whole thing at once. It could be like, oh, you added one method to add a new concept, you added another method for this. So it would just, there would be a lot of branches probably, but we'll figure this out once we have our class structure and whatnot talked about on Thursday. So we're going to confirm the merge, and we can finally delete the branch. So now if we go back to our code, we no longer have another branch, it's just main, and in main, we have the feature that we added. And this is a super simplified version because it's one file, but we probably have multiple files with like different parts of the program and whatnot. So that's just something to keep in mind, why this looks super simple. All right, so we're just going to make another branch now. And this is going to be, let's say we're working on a new feature. So this is going to be feature B, my name. And now we have it here. So let's say Well, first of all, let's load the new branch that we just made into our Visual Studio Code. So quickly, we're just gonna do git fetch because since we just made this one, it doesn't update automatically. We have to do git fetch. But so now we can switch to branch. We don't do -b for this one because we're not creating a new one. We're simply switching. So we're gonna do feature/b by name. So now we're here. We have this loaded in. So let's say that since the last time you worked on the code, there were a few merges into main. So let's say
we just have just some random features that other people added. New features here. So we just commit those
really quickly. So obviously main has been updated with the new features that other people pushed, but here we have the outdated version of the code. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to switch to the main branch. So yeah, you're going to want to switch to the main branch. And obviously this is even more out of date because we haven't pooled. So pooling is just basically getting all of the new stuff from the remote repository onto here locally. So it's pretty simple. All you want to do is type git pull. And as you can see, everything is here. So now we're going to want to switch back to our other branch that we just made. And you can see that things are still out of date. So now we're going to want to merge the main branch into this branch. So the way you do that is just git merge. And now we have all of the updated stuff in our branch. So staying up to date is pretty important. I would just do this every time you start working, just to make sure that your code is up to date. Okay, so now that we understand how to stay up to date with the code, the last thing we do is just demonstrate how a merge conflict works. So let's say we have two people working on the same feature B, right? So we're gonna go back to main and we're gonna make a new branch. So we're still on feature B, but this is someone else working on it. So we have this. And let's say this person 2 added feature 2 or feature B stuff. So let's say we add feature B stuff, but we also, for some reason, we also changed something else earlier in the code. Just like hello world B, right? So I'm gonna save the files.
add some stage changes. Hit commit. And then we were going to want to do git push. Origin, feature, B, person 2. Okay.
So now let's say this again, this feature ends up being finished. So we do the pull request, someone reviews the code here, we merge, and branch is deleted. So we go back, and the current state of the code is looking like this. Now, let's say all of this happened while you were gone. Well, let's say I was gone. So again, remember the branch that I was working on was feature B with my name. And oh wait, oops. Remember, don't type the dash b, just this. And my branch looks like this. So let's say we also have um, like feature b stuff or whatnot. So we do that, and then the way conflicts work is that there's differences in the code that you want to merge. This is what a merge conflict is. So remember last time in the second person, when they changed like previous code, they added this. So let's just say, let's do from this, right? So we save this.
And then we go through the loops of doing stuff. So you do git add dot, git commit, this feature repeat. And then finally you git push origin, the branch that we're working on.
So now go back and we say that, okay, our code is finished and now we want to push it to main. However, this time when you compare and want to submit a pull request, you'll get this. You can't automatically merge. And we'll see a reason for that why. So we create the pull request, and obviously someone is going to have to review it, but this time there's a conflict, and it'll show you that right here. So you can resolve the conflicts by clicking this button. We would probably have like a few people working on this, or just the people who have, you know, were in charge of like developing this feature, who had put work into it. So as you can see, there's the two different, this is where the conflict lies, right? The feature B stuff is the same, but if they change previous parts of the code for any reason, or just other parts that were already existing, we'll see that this is already like what exists in main. But what we want to push is this, and you can see that there's obviously a difference. So there's different like things you can do about this. The default options would just be accept the branch A, or not branch A, but the current change, which is the one that I just pushed from here. And that would look like that. We could accept the incoming change or what already exists and not do anything about this. And it would look like that. Or we could do both and it would try to include both of them. But realistically, what would end up happening is the whoever is working on this would have to collaborate on finding a resolution that works best, that includes, you know, both of them. Like it's very really case dependent, and it would just have to be figured out. But once like something is decided, like you work on, you know, writing the code that makes it work for both cases or something along the lines of that, you could mark it as resolved. The conflict is resolved, and then you can commit the merge so that main has everything that's up to date, that's working, and yeah. So at the end of the day, we have no more branches because all of the feature branches that we made were all done. They committed into main, so there's no need for the branch when it's already here, the working version of it. So in terms of our project, obviously we're gonna have a bunch of features. All of these could be like their own individual branches. Um, Basically, the hierarchy is when you're working on your code for each feature or for whatever feature you're working on, you want to make your own branch with your name associated with it. You do your code, do all the tests and whatnot, make sure it works, and then you want to pull request into main. Someone will review it, and then once that's done, it's committed and merged, and the working version is in main, which should not be changed. Also, when you're doing all this, communicate on the Discord group chat because it would be helpful. And if you guys want, you could practice this using this repository. So what I would do is simply just try to do some of the stuff I showed in the video, like clone the repository. Definitely do that. Make sure you follow the steps that I said because it's pretty easy to like miss one thing and things just won't work. So you could, what you could do is just like make a new branch, you know. Uh, Actually, let me make sure we're meeting first and make sure we get the most up to date. And yeah, so what you're gonna want to do is just make a quick branch. It doesn't have to be like anything, or it could literally just be like, or not get cool, sorry. Git checkout. It could literally just be your name, and then you could make a tiny change, commit that change, then push that change into your branch, and then submit a pull request to merge that change you made into main. And I think if you do that, you'll get a pretty decent grasp on the understanding of how all of that works. And one last reminder, you could always use like the embedded functionality that BSC has for GitHub. And you don't have to like do all the terminal commands because it's kind of annoying sometimes. But yeah. If you guys watch this to the end, if you have any questions, if I might have made some parts pretty brief, but just let me know. And obviously, like on Thursday when we meet, we could talk about it again. But yeah, hope this was helpful.